Heartland Ranch, Alberta. Early morning. The Alberta sky does what it always does in the early hours before anyone is properly awake. It turns a color that has no name, something between purple and gray, and the palest possible gold. And it spreads itself across the flat horizon like a promise that has been made and kept every single morning for 1,000 years. The mountains sit at the edge of the world, blue and permanent, and indifferent to everything that happens beneath them. The ranch is quiet. The horses shift in their stalls. A dog lifts its head from the porch, then sets it back down. Smoke begins to rise from the kitchen chimney, slow and straight in the windless air. A woman stands at the fence of the round pen, with her arms folded over the top rail and her chin resting on her hands, watching a young horse pace the perimeter in short, anxious circles. She has been standing here since before the light came. She came outside because the house was too quiet, and the quiet was too loud, and she needed to be somewhere that made sense. And this, always this, has been the place that makes sense. The horses, the dirt, the fence rail worn smooth by 20 years of her own hands. She watches the young horse, and she thinks, as she has been thinking for weeks now, about the phone call. He is coming back, after everything, after all of it, after the years and the distance and the silence that filled the space where his voice used to be. He called, and he said he was coming back to Heartland, back to Alberta, back. She breathes in the cold morning air and does not know what to do with her hands. Interior, Heartland Ranch. Kitchen. Morning. The old man is already at the table with his coffee when she comes in from outside. He does not look up. He has a way of not looking up that says more than most men say when they are looking directly at you. She pours herself a mug and sits down across from him. He turns the page of his newspaper. She wraps both hands around her mug. "He called again last night," she says. "I know," the old man says. "He called me too." She looks up. "What did he say?" "He said he'd be here by Friday." The old man sets the paper down and looks at her steadily. "He said he wasn't asking permission. He said he just wanted us to know." She is quiet for a moment. He never used to say things like that. "No," the old man agrees. "He didn't." He picks up his coffee. "People change. Some of them, anyway. The ones worth keeping." She stares into her mug. Outside, the horses begin to call to each other across the morning. That low, familiar conversation that has been the background music of every morning of her life on this ranch. "I don't know how to do this," she says. "Yes, you do," the old man says. "You've always known how. You just forgot for a while." He stands, picks up his hat from the hook by the door, and goes outside. She sits alone in the kitchen with her coffee going cold, and the morning light coming through the window, and the sound of the horses carrying across the yard, like everything that was ever good about this place. Exterior, Heartland Ranch. Driveway. Friday afternoon. She is in the barn when she hears the truck. She knows the sound of it. Or rather, she knows the sound of a truck that drives like that, slow and careful down the gravel drive, the engine cutting off and the door swinging open with that particular creak that she remembers from 100 mornings and 100 evenings and every single moment in between. She does not go out. She stays with the horse she is working with, a gray mare who has been skittish since she arrived, scared of her own shadow, needing patience and stillness above everything else. She focuses on the mare. She breathes. She keeps her hands soft. She hears his boots on the gravel. She hears the old man's voice, a greeting, short and direct, and then silence, and then the low sound of two men talking the way men talk when they have a great deal to say and are choosing, carefully, to say very little of it. She keeps working with the mare. The mare's ear flicks toward the barn door, and then he is standing in the doorway. She knows without turning around. She has always been able to feel when he was near, the way a barometric pressure changes before a storm. Not danger, never danger, but the particular awareness of something large approaching that would rearrange the atmosphere simply by being present in it. She keeps her eyes on the mare. "Hey," he says. His voice is the same. Older, maybe. Steadier than she remembered. But the same. "Hey," she says. She does not turn around yet. She needs another moment. Just one more moment with her hands on the mare's neck and her breath moving in and out, and the ordinary miracle of the barn around her, the smell of hay and horses and cold Alberta air and old wood, before she has to look at him and figure out what her face is going to do. The mare turns her head and looks at the man in the doorway with calm, curious eyes. Horses always know. She turns around. Into Heartland barn. Continuous. He looks like himself. That is the thing that undoes her a little, that after everything, after all the years and all the miles and all the silence, he looks like himself. Older, yes. There are lines around his eyes that were not there before. His hair is shorter. He stands differently, with a weight to his stillness that he did not have when he was young, when he was always moving, always restless, always as if the ground beneath him might shift without warning. But the eyes are the same. The way he holds his shoulders is the same. The way he is looking at her, careful and direct, and like he has been thinking about this exact moment for a very long time, that is the same. "You didn't come out," he says. "I was working," she says. "I know." A beat of silence between them. The mare moves in the stall. Dust drifts in the pale light coming through the barn window. "You look good," he says. "Don't," she says, but without heat. "Okay." She crosses her arms, not defensively, more like she needs something to hold on to. "Why didn't you call sooner? Not last month. Years ago. Why did you wait so long?" He does not look away. "Because I wasn't ready. And now you are? Now I am." She looks at him a long time. She is trying to find something in his face that she can be angry at. Some evidence of carelessness. Some sign that this is easy for him. Some excuse to keep the distance that has been her armor for years now. She cannot find it. He is just standing there, honest and still and a little afraid. And she has known him long enough to know that the fear is real. "Lyndy asked about you," she says finally. Something moves in his face. "How is she?" "She's wonderful. She's 18. She looks like you." She pauses. "She's at school right now. She'll be home on the weekend." "I know," he says. "I timed it on purpose. I wanted to talk to you first, before she gets here." She nods slowly. "Okay," she says. "Then talk." Exit Heartland Ranch. Round pen. Late afternoon. They walk outside together, not quite side by side. There is a foot of air between them that neither of them closes. They lean on the fence of the round pen and watch the young gray mare, who has calmed now and is standing in the center of the pen with her head down, resting. He begins to talk. He tells her everything he did not say in the years he was gone. Not all of it at once, not in a rush, but carefully. The work, the places he went, the things he learned, the reasons he stayed away longer than he meant to, and then longer than that, and then so long that coming back started to feel impossible, And then one day, recently, the impossibility shifted, and what was left on the other side of it was simply home. She listens. She does not interrupt. She has always been good at listening. It is part of what she does, has always done, with horses and with people both. You get quiet. You wait. You let the truth come at its own pace. When he stops talking, the evening light is coming in low across the mountains, and the sky has gone that same nameless color it was before dawn. Full circle. I'm not asking you to pretend none of it happened, he says. I'm not asking you to just pick up where we left off. I know it doesn't work like that. No, she says, it doesn't. I'm asking if we can start, whatever that looks like, however slow. He stops, starts again. I don't want to be somewhere else anymore. I want to be here. I want to earn back the right to be here. She is quiet for a long time. The mare lifts her head and looks at them both. She still does that, he says quietly. Every horse. They always look at us like they understand what we're saying. They do, she says. You know that. Yeah. His voice is soft. I know. She uncrosses her arms. She lets them fall to her sides. The old man set up the loft, she says. If you need somewhere to stay while you figure things out. He looks at her. Is that an invitation or just information? For the first time since he arrived, she almost smiles. I haven't decided yet. Fair enough. Friday dinner is still a thing. Everyone comes. It gets loud. Good. Lyndy is going to have a lot of questions. I know. I deserve that. Yes, she says simply. You do. She pushes off from the fence and turns toward the house. She takes a few steps, then stops. The gray mare, she says, without turning around. She's been difficult, scared of everything. Won't let anyone get close. I can see that. She's not broken. She's just been handled wrong. She needs someone patient. A pause. If you want something to do tomorrow morning. She walks toward the house. He stands at the fence and watches her go and does not say anything, because there is nothing to say that is bigger than what just happened. The mare comes to the fence and puts her nose against his hand. Enter Heartland Ranch, kitchen, Friday evening. The kitchen is full, the way it always is on Fridays. There are too many people for the table, so some of them are standing. Somebody has brought a pot of something that smells extraordinary. The old man is at the head of the table, in his chair, in his particular posture of a man who built something and is satisfied with it. He comes in from the barn. He has been out there all afternoon. The conversation does not stop exactly, but it changes pitch, the way conversations do when someone arrives who matters. People look up. Someone says his name. Someone else crosses the room and grabs his shoulder and says something low and short that makes him laugh. And the laugh is unexpected, and it fills the kitchen like something that has been missing for a long time, without anyone being able to name what it was. Across the room, she is at the counter slicing bread. She does not look up, but she is aware of everything. The old man catches her eye. He says nothing. He does not need to. She finishes slicing the bread and carries it to the table and sits down. He sits down too. Not next to her. That would be too much. Too soon, and they both know it. But close. Across the table and 2 seats down, close enough that she can hear him talking to the person beside him. Close enough that when he reaches for the breadbasket, his hand passes through the same small geography of air that her hand just occupied. Dinner is loud. Dinner is good. Someone tells a story about a horse that everyone has heard before, but laughs at anyway. The old man says something dry and devastating, and the table erupts. Someone refills her glass without being asked. The dog circles the table, looking for allies and finding several. After dinner, when people begin to drift toward the living room, she stays at the table with her hands around her mug. He stays too. The kitchen empties around them until it is just the two of them, and the low sound of the fire in the other room, and the horses settling for the night outside. "Thank you," he says, "for tonight, for letting me be here. This is always going to be your family too," she says. "That was never the question." "I know." He looks at his hands. "But thank you anyway." She nods. Outside, the Alberta night has come down cold and clear and full of stars. The same stars that have been over this ranch since before any of them were born, and will be there long after. Exterior Heartland Ranch. Porch. Late night. She is outside on the porch steps when the door opens behind her. She knew he would come. She does not know how she knew, but she did. He sits down on the step beside her, close enough that she can feel the warmth of him in the cold air. They sit quietly and look at the stars. "I used to think about this," he says, "sitting here, this exact spot." "I know," she says. "Did you?" He stops. "Sometimes," she says, answering the question he did not finish. "More than I wanted to." A long silence. Comfortable, almost. The kind of silence that can only exist between people who have known each other through enough seasons to stop being afraid of what the quiet might mean. "I found your letter," he says, "the one you wrote after Lyndy was born. I don't know how it found me, but it did. I've carried it ever since. She does not speak. I should have come back then. I was afraid." "Of what?" "Of not being enough. Of being too much. Of everything I'd already cost you." He pauses. "Of you looking at me the way you're looking at me right now." "And how am I looking at you?" "Like you're deciding something." She looks up at the sky. The stars do not move. "I've been deciding something for a long time," she says. "Since before you called. Maybe since you left." She breathes in the cold air. "I decided that if you ever came back, I wasn't going to make it easy. I was going to make you work for it." "That's fair." "And I decided," she continues, "that if you ever came back, I was going to let you." He is very still beside her. "So here's what happens," she says, in the same voice she uses with horses. Calm, clear, no confusion about what is being said. "You stay. You put in the work. You show up for Lyndy, and you show up for this family, and you show up every morning like it matters, because it does. And we don't pretend that nothing happened. We build something new, whatever it turns out to be." "Whatever it turns out to be," he says quietly. "That's all I've got. That's everything," he says. "That's more than everything." She does not say anything else. Neither does he. They sit on the porch steps in the cold Alberta night, beneath the mountains and the stars, and the particular enormous silence of a place that has held them both, separately and together, across more years than either of them can easily count. The horses are quiet in the barn. The fire has gone low inside. The old man's light goes off in the bedroom at the end of the hall. She does not move. He does not move. It is enough for right now. It is more than enough. It is the beginning of something that was never really finished, only interrupted, only paused, only set aside while the world and time and distance did what they do. And now here, in the quiet, in the cold, on the steps of the house where everything started, it is beginning again. This time, they are both ready.